we should be live. Janet.
Yes.
We are live. And today, on A Girl, a Guy, and a Movie, we are reviewing the movie Paint Your Wagon with Lee Marvin, Clint Eastwood, Gene Seberg, Harv Presnell in a supporting cast role, with Ray Walton and Tom Ligon.
Yeah, it's quite a few people in this movie.
Lots of
The
people.
little redheaded guy that was like Irish or whatever,
Mhm.
I recognized him, but I can't remember what his name was. You know who I'm talking about? The
Yeah,
one that was
Clint
digging under the ground with them.
Yeah.
That guy.
I can't remember his name. He's pretty. He's been in a lot of films.
Yeah,
You're talking about William O'Connell.
I think so.
Hold on.
The little tiny guy with the mustache and the red hair.
That guy.
Yes, that's him.
Okay. Yeah.
He's been in so many things. And the guy next to him with the glasses, he's been in a lot of stuff. Wasn't he? No, he wasn't in that one. I don't know. I'm trying to remember some movies he might have been in, but it's just hard because there was so many people in this. And it looked like they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of extras in this movie. Also.
And he was in a lot of Clint Eastwood films. I remember him in Paint Your Wagon, or not Paint Your Wagon, but Every Which Way, but You Can't But Loose.
Yeah.
And he's done some other Clint Eastwood films as well. He just died a couple of years ago. Every Which Way But Loose, The Outlaw Josey Wales. He was Stella in the original series of Star Trek in first season.
What character did he play in Star Trek?
Stella.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
He was in Journey to Battle. Oh, second season, my bad. I remember him. Journey to Battle was a good episode. Anti-Derivative Jill liked that episode, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
One of the other affiliates we've got that she's a big Trekkie like us. Yeah, William O'Connell's in this movie, and a bunch of other folks that are just amazing stars were in this film. And this came at the tail end of the big push for musicals, because for the longest time the Western was king in Hollywood. And then around 58, 59, musical started taking over. And for like a good decade, the musical was king. But this movie here was kind of big and bloated. It had a lot of people in it. It ran for almost 3 hours. And a lot of people just didn't like it. And I don't know what the problem was, because I don't like musicals. If I like a musical, it's probably really well done. And this movie here was just an excellent film. It's not my favorite by any means. It's not going to beat out the Blues Brothers. Sorry, kids.
No, definitely not for me either. But I wouldn't even have seen this if it hadn't been for my grandmother or my mom watching it on Saturday, on TV. But my mother really liked Lee Marvin. She thought he was a really good actor. And I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you what other movies Lee Marvin was in. If I started watching it, I'd probably remember a lot of them, because my mom watched lots of movies with lots of different actors that she really liked. But I just remember my mom singing along to some of the songs, like that one I told you, the song Mariah. I've known that one for a long, long time, because my mother had it and she'd play it, on her music, stuff that she had set up. And because she liked that guy, and she thought he was very handsome. She talked about him a lot. Whatever that actor was that played the saloon owner guy, She really liked him. She thought he was very attractive. She talked about him a lot. He was in other movies too that she thought he was good. But she thought he sang well, and I think it was his voice, because the only one that I saw on the list when we were looking it up that didn't sing was the woman. Gene, is it Seberg?
The Seberg did not sing. She had somebody stand in for her.
Mm-hmm. So, as far as I know, everyone else sang, and you could definitely tell that was Lee Marvin when he was singing
Oh
because
God,
it
Lee
wasn't
Marvin.
very good, but it was funny as hell. I
Lee
laughed a
Marvin.
lot. I laughed a
This
lot.
movie, this is Lee Marvin's film.
Hmm. I think so, definitely.
Uh, and I like I was talking behind the in the green room. I think this movie was a lot better than what it's been given credit for. I think this film has got a big legacy. I think the fact that Lee Marvin is there shooting whiskey into his mouth every day during the shoot, and the director's like, I don't want you to do that. I really don't want you to do that. And then we don't have a single fucking report in 1969 at the theaters where Oliver Reed goes in and says, "That is a bloody brilliant performance. Huzzah!" I'm so fucking sad that nobody got that in print because that would be a crowning achievement for journalism. But the journalists have always been shit, and
Yeah,
that's the problem with journalists. They don't report the things that most people want to read. They report the stuff that's going to get them clicks, views, commercials, etc.
yeah.
And therefore, the problems with America persist. Yes, kids, this setup will be like my old setup where you focus on my hands and fingers and the pretty lady to my left.
Well,
If
unless
I
you're dressed as a guy.
if I could, I would have Janet blown up like that. She's like, I don't want to be in your face. I'm like, oh, come on. And then she's like, no, I don't like that either. I'm like,
I don't like it. I just don't like it. I like this better. I like having a
that's what we
frame
did.
around it. I think it's
She
better.
for some odd reason I offered this, and she's like, yeah, but put me on the right. I'm like, but nobody wants to watch painters. Everybody wants to watch the pretty lady.
Well, I
So,
could just be an avatar too, like we did when we first
oh,
started.
oh, Fox News did not get the ratings because they just had stand-ins and cardboard cutouts of Laurie Dew waving at the camera. Mind you, Laurie Dew would be with Oliver Reed because they'd both be soused off their ass at the time. Uh, for those who don't remember, Laurie Dew was fired from Fox News because of a bad podcast or bad broadcast one night where she showed up completely blitzed, makeup was off, the shirt was fouled up, the hair was undone. I swear to God, I wish I would have had a VCR running so I could bring that back because I used to crush on Laurie Dew. She was my favorite of all the Fox News babes
Hmm.
back in like late '90s, mid to late '90s. She was on CNN first, but her alcoholism got the worst of her, and they didn't really talk about it. She just went over to Fox News, and then at Fox News, she was really big into that flask during the Sean Hannity, Alan Combs segments. That was her time to really down milliliters by the gulp, and therefore there's no Lori Dew out there. Sorry, Bruce.
Well, one of the things that I definitely liked about the movie was it was gritty, okay? And when they open in the scene, you see these lots of people on horses and wagons pulling carts. And it had the backdrop of the mountains and everything. It was just gorgeous. And then they had that song, the Paint Your Wagon song, and I was singing along to it. It just made me feel so happy because it was like my mom sitting, in the room with me watching it because that's who I watched it almost every time. And it's been like what, 17 years, since I got to sit and watch it with my mother because she just really loved that movie. But I don't know, I just reminisced a lot when we were watching it. A couple times I kind of got a little teary-eyed thinking about it, and I tried not to focus on that. But I just love this movie, and I think Lee Marvin, if it hadn't had Lee Marvin in it, I don't even think it would even made the 14,000 whatever at the box office. What year was it again?
This was '9. It was made up on a budget of $20 million,
Hmm.
and therefore the only money that was tallied was the American budget that was kicked back through the theaters. It
Hmm.
made 30.5 million, $30.5 million or $31 million, somewhere around there.
So it just
Not
barely made its money back.
eked its money back. It did. And that's really not bad considering that this film was given like a lot of passes from the critics. A lot of critics didn't like it. They thought it was too big, too bombastic. Can we get past the the medieval musical bullshit. Oh look how inventive! It's a Western musical. And that was like the droning sound from the journalist and journalist at the time. So this movie was going up against whereas one of our more favorite movies, Treasure Island, or what was it? Not Treasure Island, Pirates Cove, or Cutthroat Island.
Oh yeah, Cutthroat
Cutthroat
Island.
Island $70 million debt before it was released.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't make this money back, Carol closes. That was in 1992. And that movie did not make the $70 million to keep Carol Co. open, which is why that movie has the Guinness Book of World Records biggest bomb ever up until
which I still think isn't fair.
It's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
But they saddled that. They forced that movie to take that to the theater house and say, please give us $70 million plus. And nobody really saw it, even though the movie was very well done. It was competent, did a lot of good things. Remy Harlan was trying his best, and he had Gina Davis kind of giving him hugs at night to make sure that he knew he was appreciated. And, this was when Gina Davis was being an idiot getting away from Jeff Goldblum, because that was the guy that she was supposed to
I don't even think she was with Jeff Goldblum when she made Cutthroat Island.
This was like after, because they were dumb and young.
Because when she made The Fly was back when she was with
they were together for Earth Girls Are Easy and The Fly.
Mm-hmm.
And then Remy Harlan and her started hanging out, and she thought maybe it'd be better for her career if she started letting a Hollywood director dick her around. And that didn't work out well. So this is a decision.
Well, you got to remember, people make bad decisions when they use their heart or their genitals for relationships. So just like I hear all these guys saying, that crazy's great in bed. So that's why you end up with a bunch of crazy women that are going to cook your dog on the stove, or you're going to wake up with a frying pan in your forehead, or, whatever. So, everybody makes bad mistakes for that kind of stuff. But we all have to learn, hopefully. It's the ones that don't learn are the ones that end up getting screwed, basically. So, once we get past that hurdle, hopefully everyone goes on the, going up, because they finally start making good decisions. It's just whether or not the person they're with, the new person they're with, is going to make good decisions or not. See, that's what suffers, because you can't make decisions for everybody else. And whether you're making good decisions or not, it's just how quick you get out of it. Right, I guess.
Yeah.
But one of the things I loved was watching the movie unfold and then seeing the characters singing, because the very first song that you hear, basically, besides Paint Your Wagon in the opening, is Clint Eastwood singing about a woman that he supposedly loved and he misses. And it kind of gave you, I love some of the camera angles and stuff, because it gave you the vastness of where they were at in the town, No Name Town, was they named it. And it said population male, remember? I just thought that was hilarious, the guy painting that. And then you see hundreds of guys that come running when they see Lee Marvin ends up with his wife. I'm jumping forward a little bit, but you see them all running towards his property because they just want to see her, and they go, hey, there's a man with two women. There's women, and they're running, and they're, from the whole town, it's all running to see the two women. And that scene had at least 100 extras in it, wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm.
When they're looking at the Mormon guy, and he's got a woman on a horse holding a baby, and then another woman carrying a big pack on her back, right? And when he talks about, that the woman on the horse, one guy, the big burly guy that's a blacksmith or whatever, says, I'll pay you $50 in gold if you just let me hold the baby. And she's going to let him hold the baby without asking him for money. And her husband says, take the money, whatever, So
yeah, I mean, he's offering him money. He wants you to have the money. Take the fucking money.
Yeah. So, don't hurt his feelings or whatever. But because he's seeing the opportunity strikes in his head of all these miners there, right? With tons of money, because they're all mining. their own little plots, and there's no women to spend the money on. The only thing they had to spend money on is gambling and alcohol.
Alcohol.
So
Really, this doesn't sound like a bad place. I'm not saying I'm going to book a time there. Let's go to Sausage Fest. No, good. I'm good.
but I just
But-
thought it was so funny because they did have like meetings and stuff, like they had he wasn't a mayor, but he was like some kind of person that ran it, made sure they had meetings or something like that. So they had law and order to a degree, but they didn't really need it because I just wrote down a couple things from the movie, like when Lee Marvin calls that guy a peckerhead. There was so many words that cussing. There was lots of cussing and sexual innuendos in this. He said, "You see me seeing Clint Eastwood watching Lee Marvin sing when he's walking through the bar, and he's singing because remember he carried Clint Eastwood in on his back because he had a broken leg." Whatever. The whole thing I just thought was great. The way they made them friends. And he got a plot of land, and they found gold because them two fell off the cliff, right? And his brother died. And when they're digging the grave, which Lee Marvin dug all by himself, and I thought that whole thing was funny. And they're all just standing around, hovering around one person while he's doing all the work. I just thought it was hilarious. Just little things like that were just phenomenal. And the one guy put his hands on the ground while he was looking at the body when they'd wrapped it up and put it in the grave. And he saw his hand. You see him looking at it. And then other ones are looking at it. And there's little specks on their hand. And they realize this ground is filled with gold, And that's when Lee Marvin puts his foot on top of that guy's hand and says, "I stake this claim," or whatever. With that guy, he's my partner. I just thought it was hilarious. The whole opening scene, that whole thing, just drew me in big time and Lee Marvin is just so out there, and he's so vibrant and funny. He just took over every scene he was in. I thought he was good. And even when he's laying in the mud, on the ground, he says, "Partner, come here," to get him. He's just very, very talented and very funny.
Well, apparently, like Clint Eastwood, from what the IMDb trivia says, like he was kind of dipping into Gene Seberg, but Seberg didn't know that there was an extra on the set of this movie that he was also with, and so when they get back to Hollywood, like Clint Eastwood disowns her. He had he dumped Gene Seberg, and he wasn't really involved with the extra on this movie either. But he goes back to Hollywood, back to where the press and everybody are at, and he goes back to living his life. I'm a family man, blah blah blah, or I've got things going on here, and I'm kind of a single guy, but everybody knows I dip around. And this is before that horrible lady Sandra, whatever her name, got in touch with him and tried to rope him into a relationship. He was not happy with her, but he got back to Hollywood and he was into Gene Seberg. And I think what it was that Seberg had some questionable stuff go on in her life. There's a really interesting Amazon that I want to see about her with Kristen Stewart, and it looks like she's involved pretty heavily with the Black Panthers, but everything I've been reading up to this point tells me that she really wasn't involved with them that much. She may have had a tryst or something like over the course of a couple afternoons, but she wasn't really involved with them because of how it would portray her to her family who was from the Midwest. And even though she's trying to get away from her family in the Midwest, the whole time in her adulthood, she still valued and had a big love for her mom, her dad, and everybody that, grew up with her and made her into what she is today. It's just that she wanted to rebel a little bit. The government hears about her with the Black Panthers, and they want to, grill her. They want to tap into her phones. They want to do all sorts of stuff. I think the government is more responsible for her suicide than anything else. But she was kind of a confused young lady, and she went through a bunch of marriages. She had a child die 2 days out of the womb, and it's very sad and tragic. But I don't believe she is as bad of a person as the government wants to paint it, because at the time you have J. Edgar Hoover
who he's just trying to grab actors and actresses that might be in the Red Scare bullshit. And he's trying to impress St. Joe McCarthy, which I do love Joe McCarthy, don't get me wrong. But J. Edgar Hoover was out there trying to cover up the fact that he's a cross-dresser and he's doing all sorts of different things. Clint Eastwood directed a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio about J. Edgar Hoover, and it does not paint the man in a very favorable light. So keep all this, in mind whenever you study about Jean Seberg and what happened with her, because she really was just a pawn being used by a lot of people, and she probably made some things known to Clint Eastwood after 2 years of working on films together, that he's like, when I get back to town, I'm just going to find myself a normal girl with like no political affiliation, a girl that likes shopping, and she doesn't really involve herself too much with things involving Joe McCarthy.
Mhm.
I think that's what I want, and I think that's what happened.
Yeah.
Seberg was kind of left for out and about, high and dry, still hung up wet, and she was not well taken care of. She had a bunch of bad mismanaged relationships. She didn't have the best family life as an adult with her family and where she's from. Didn't have the best relations, but she really took things the wrong way, and she started coming apart of her own volition.
Mm-hmm.
And then keeping a couple in fact that you have the government tapping her phone, wanting to know what she knows about the Black Panthers and everything else. It pushes her over the edge. It's a sad story, but this is also why, like, it seems like we can't have bombshells, because like every time we get a good bombshell, like too much focus is on the actress's beauty. Like that's why Marilyn Monroe was eventually going nuts, and she's doing weird stuff. She can't keep her husband. The first husband Marilyn Monroe had would have been perfect for her, but she thought otherwise. She got out of that relationship, went to like 3 other guys. Then you have Jane Mansfield, same situation. She should have kept her first husband, but we can't have bombshells because the media gets too fixated on them, and it makes the ladies go nuts. As much as men want to know about it, we'd be better off just having an AI or a fictitious woman to follow than a real person that could get damaged from all the undue attention. And that's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, the thing is that there's lots of women in Hollywood, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, that were bombshells, attractive or whatever, and didn't fall for all the glam and glitter and drugs and alcohol and all that stuff too. So they ended up getting married, like Joanne Woodward, quite a few others. But the thing is, there's always going to be one or two that is going to get sucked in because of either drugs or alcohol, or because they end up in a relationship with someone that's overpowering. Wasn't it? I can't remember what her name was. She was like a pinup, and she was beaten to death basically by her boyfriend that basically prostituted her out and stuff.
Chat, who was that?
I can't remember
I don't know
his name. I can't remember her name, but he was basically treated her like dirt. And she ended up dying from that. But I can't remember what her name is. But she was in like a centerfold or whatever. But she was beautiful too. So it's really sad that drugs. I mean, look at what was it? Tiger Woods just recently had another accident because he's addicted to painkillers, from his surgeries and stuff. It's sad. Who was it that died at the Viper Room? Another singer or actor or whatever.
I'm not sure.
Years ago, it was one of the actors that died. I can't remember what his name is, but lots of them. There's tons of them. But it depends on what kind of structure you have. I mean, what's the guy that was in the Jurassic Park movies that he's a famous actor, but you don't see all this stuff about him being on drugs and drinking and partying and going to all these ditty parties and stuff like that, because he has structure at home. He has people that he goes home to, so he doesn't go out and do that shit. So there is two sides of Hollywood. You got the side that just does whatever the hell they want, and they don't care who they hurt or what they're doing. And then you have the other side that wants to have families, and just like we've always had, I'm sure. So it just depends on the person and whether or not they can handle it. This actress seemed like a wholesome type woman from the movie. But, you know, like I said, I didn't know her. You know, I didn't know anything about her. But it's sad, you know, the whole situation behind the scenes. But she did a good job on camera for the movie. And so did Lee Marvin and all the other actors. I thought they did a great job portraying a bunch of men that are in a mining town that got started because of the gold rush. And they're in the mountains. It rains a lot. They're spending their whole day trying to, you know, strike it rich. And most of them left empty-handed, you know, when they did leave. But the whole thing was funny. It was they took a Western and made it into a musical. Like they were trying to put two different realms of Hollywood together and see if it'd be successful. And I think they did a really good job considering it's a musical. Cause you know, I don't really go for a lot of musicals either. It's very, you know, I'm very picky about it. And I thought they did a great job because Lee Marvin was like, he was phenomenal. If you took Lee Marvin out of the movie, I don't think it would have been even as successful as it was. Because didn't you say it was like a cult classic now?
What?
Didn't you say it was kind of like a cult classic now?
It is.
I don't know. I thought you were the one that said that.
It's been reviewed. It wasn't really looked at too favorably at the time of release.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the time, it's been on like syndication. It has gotten a better audience reception, but back then, a lot of people didn't really. They kind of believed journalists at the time, and they thought more about, you know, things like that. They had other things on their mind, like the recent Bay of Pigs invasion and what Joe McCarthy was going to do about communism.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, you know, the movie wasn't looked at favorably. You have Clint Eastwood and Lee Marvin going around doing their careers after this film, and they really blew up big after this movie came out. Now, Lee Marvin did 20 plus amphibious landings as a Marine Corps devil dog.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Clint Eastwood staying amazingly fit and trim throughout all of his time. He was a lifeguard. He was
a huge star, and he didn't end up being ruining his career because he became an alcoholic or because he became a drug addict or getting involved in all these scandals and stuff. So it is possible to be a huge star like Paul Newman, Robert Redford, you know, lots of them. There's just lots of them. And you have some that have few bumps, but the ones who had a good head on their shoulders and a good relationship, you know, with good family or wife or husband or whatever, they seem to be able to work out those kinks. You know what I mean? They have a little scandal here and there, but they're not diving in head first, you know, with drugs and alcohol. And they're the ones that seem to do well. So it does happen. It's not every single person. It just seems that every so often you'll have some young, doe-eyed person go to Hollywood thinking they're going to make it big, and they go there without any structure. They don't have a person that actually gives a shit about them, you know, to care about whether or not they see him drinking too much or they see him do this. Just like I said, a few times that I've been on sets and see parents bring their kids and drop them off, and then they drive off, say they're going to go shopping or whatever. To me, I just see this terrible to leave your child on a set, you know, with the people that just run the movie or whatever. I would want to be there all the time to make sure that what was going on, even if it's boring, you just sit, read a book or whatever, but you're on set and you can see what is going on with your kid, you know? But that's what I would do. But that doesn't mean, you know, other people are going to do the same thing. So we all do what, you know, we're going to do with or without, you know, other people telling us what to do. They don't like it. So, but it's the movie was great though. I really, really liked it. I mean, I know it was impressionable when my mom got me to watch it, and they were so happy to watch it. My mom, because I don't know how many times my mother had seen it the first time I'd seen it, and my grandma, my mom singing along to some of the songs and laughing, and it was. At first, when I first watched it, I laughed at my mom and my grandma, not really the movie, because I really didn't understand the concept of a woman with two husbands, you know, all those things, just like what Six Nation was saying when we were talking about it after the movie. It was later, once I was adult and I had my own kid and I'm watching and I'm like, this movie is freaking hilarious. Some of the parts, especially the parts with Lee Marvin, like I said, when he said you can't buy a woman for money, but try to get one without some. You know that line. I wrote down
Yes.
some of these, and then when he said when he went up there with the guys and he was gonna act like they were with the military to give them a follow them and ride with the stagecoach with the hookers or whatever, so they'd be safe. And then he said, "We got to keep you safe from the engines." I just thought that you can't do that shit today. I mean, that's what was, little things like that was really funny. I laughed at that. And then what was the other part? He goes, "Oh, when he ended up getting married, right? And then the next morning when he comes out of the tent and there's like hundreds of men just standing around waiting to see his face when he comes out for being with a woman, because none of them have women, right? And then partner looks at him and says, "How was it?" And he says, "It was so good, I forgot I was married." Just, you know, that's great shit. I mean, that's entertaining and funny. So I just loved it. I thought there was a lot of like holes, a little bit of holes here and there, lulls in the script. But when you put such good people in the parts, it's harder to see the gaps in the script when they're in a scene. You know what I mean? So they're like scene stealers or whatever. So I just thought it was phenomenal.
I thought it was a really good movie. I liked Lee Marvin's part. I liked. I'm not a big fan of Clint Eastwood being the second fiddle. I'm really not. That said,
He was young then. He wasn't a big star, was he?
no, not really a super big star. He was the lead on Gunsmoke, but
Mhm.
that was TV. This is a movie. This is the extent of the movie's kind
Look
of
how
scope.
many people they're paying.
Yeah,
That is a shit ton of extras.
Look at the prop design. Look at the set design. Look at how they've altered everything. You have to have bulldozers and a crew go in first to kind of level all that and get things around. Then you have to have people come in with the right measurements for all those shoots, and you have to do set design for all the houses there. And then that's not even mentioning the 200 people that are in the shot.
And the costumes. All of them are wearing certain costumes for the 1800s.
Now there is a part of the movie that I found kind of funny because this set was besieged by hippies. Did you read that? There was
No,
hippies set.
I didn't read
They
that.
were
and screwing around with set people and trying to get on camera as hippies, not as settlers. And so people were trying to tell the director, hey, we need to do something about these people. So he talks to them,
Security.
and
They needed more
the
security.
hippies, no, they didn't get more security. They paid the hippies to be
Oh,
long shot people because their uniforms, their outfits weren't really good uniforms, but they wouldn't get in uniform. So they had to take like footage of them 200, 300 foot away. And that was kind of the extent of it. And then they'd give them like $25. Here you go get your food or whatever, you stinking hippie. And Clint Eastwood was just kind of not impressed with that.
yeah.
And there's a lot of parts of this movie that if you go looking for footage and if you go looking for what was Clinton doing during the movie making, there's a bunch of photos of Clint Eastwood fly fishing throughout the making of this film because that's what he thought would be a good use of his time while he's waiting for the director to get his act together. And this movie's not bad. This movie's got a lot of good stuff in the actual camera itself. There's a lot of things that you could watch in this movie and you could have a lot of fun with it. This film has a lot of things that if you look at it the wrong way, if you look at it too astutely from the political lens, this movie has a lot of things where you start thinking like, what the fuck was going on in 1969? And if you start
With Lee Marvin.
yeah, with Lee Marvin of all people, and it's kind of crazy. But this movie, it's a period piece, and it's one of the best ones out there for how do normal Americans function when Woodstock's going on. And this movie kind of shows you, well, they just went to work and they tried to make money for their families, and that's kind of the takeaway. It's a good movie. It's a real good movie. And I would recommend this film to anybody that wants to see like a period piece, or if you want to see like the end sagas of the musical genre from the 1960s. This is a good film to showcase. It has some really good set design. The third act collapse of the camp, that was pretty interesting. It reminded me a little bit of the black hole,
Mhm.
because in the black hole, the very end of that movie kind of culminates with the destruction of the Cygnus, or whatever the ship that Maximilian Schell's on. That ship collapses into the black hole itself, and this movie, the camp collapses partially into the mud, and there's a lot of similar scenes and such in this film,
Mhm.
but it's really well done. This movie has some things that are pretty neat. I didn't notice an overabundance of miniatures. I noticed an overabundance of actual set design that was at scale. You see
Mhm.
a guy walking across something, there's no in-camera tricks. They're showing you stuff going on right in front of your face. It's amazing. And this movie does so well. There's a scene at the start of the film where there's a fight in like calf deep water. And I'm thinking they're in the middle of like some shallows or
A real stream and
real
then
stream.
real
They're not
rain. Yeah.
they're not sitting on their ass. They're not falling. You know, all these guys are in good shape, and they look like they've done their work outside a lot. Some may have even been, military guys marching around in Korea, or the late stages of World War II, like Lee Marvin. But a lot of these guys were in just phenomenal shape in this movie, and
Mhm.
you're going to watch it and think, man, this is a really good film, because it goes along some things that it does think about, like, why are we staring at this guy's wife? Why are all of us in this camp staring at her? And then Clint Eastwood's like, well, shit, I'd hike 15 miles to stare at that in the morning. And, Seberg
Because
comes
there is
out.
no
She's like,
women. See,
there's no,
that's what was so to me that was so authentic about it.
yeah.
If you were to sit back and watch a documentary about the gold rush in the 1800s, and men leaving their farms or whatever because they want to strike it rich in gold and find their own gold mine, right? And
Mhm.
so you had hundreds and hundreds of men in this little town made mostly of tents. See, that when it first starts, it's a bunch of tents that are up here, and there's a couple little shacks that look like outhouses or something, but it's mostly just tents. And that made it look authentic to me. And then the outfits, they had lots of jackasses and mules, more than they had horses, because these people didn't have money. These are people that went there with what they had on their clothes on their back to mine and see if they could make money. And you see all these guys there, and then all of a sudden you hear in the background someone running and saying, women, women, and they come running. This is as the movie's going along, and that's when you see a plumpy kind of guy with a funny suit on with a funny hat, and a woman with a baby on the back of a horse, and another woman straggling behind with a huge pack on her back with pans and all kinds of stuff. And she's got her dress like tied between her legs because she's walking across the stream. And you see all hundreds of men come running, and they're just standing there like with their jaws open because this guy has two women with him. Okay, and they haven't seen women. We don't know how long they've seen a woman. So when they start talking to the guy, they ask him, and he tells them they're his name, and he said, "And this is my wife Sarah, the one that's holding the baby." And then one of the other guys yell, "Who's the other woman?" He goes, "Well, that's Elizabeth, and she's my other wife." And they go, "What? You got two wives?" And they start getting jealous and mad and angry because this guy has an abundance. They all have tons of gold. They've been mining gold and spending it on alcohol and stuff. And they have tons of bags of gold, but yet they don't have a woman. You see what I mean? So weighing those things out about money, that's one reason I like this. One of the reasons I like this story is the fact that you can have tons of money like Tiger Woods, mansions, fancy cars, and still be miserable. Or you can have a good woman and be happy in your small little cabin because you come home every day and she's cooking for you. She's got the bed made, you know, she's loving you, you're doing all these things for you, but you have something to come home to every night, someone to look you in the face, like the song that she sings when he says, and he gets all those men to build a cabin for his woman, right? Because he says she wants a home, a cabin to live in. So get to work, guys, or whatever. And they're out there seeing the pretty woman washing clothes in the stream and all that, just to look at her while they're building. You know, so I just loved that whole concept. But the sad thing is, it really tugged at my heartstrings was the fact that she had lost her baby, her character. She had lost her baby 2 weeks earlier, and she was the other woman's baby was still alive. So when the husband, the Mormon husband, realized that, wow, they paid $50 just to hold my baby, I could sell this woman, right? I can sell this other wife because she's a pain in the ass and my two wives fight all the time. So he ends up auctioning her off like a piece of meat, basically. Like I've said many times, back then, if you got caught stealing a horse, you could get hung. But you could beat a woman, you could do all kinds of stuff because a woman couldn't own property. You know, basically, if she was married and her husband died, she'd have nothing, basically. You know, she'd have to become a prostitute. Like, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to watch Bad Girls. But in this, he sells her like a piece of meat, and it ends up being Lee Marvin that buys her in a drunken stupor, right? That's how he wins, because he pays $800 for her of gold. So that night when he's awake, they shave him and bathe him and everything in the river. And then when he goes in the room, he starts ripping her clothes off of her, and she just stands there. And then she pulls out a gun like this. It says, if you ever do that again, I'm going to shoot you. And she's pointing the gun at his crotch. And that's when they have like a conversation, and he realizes what a dick he was to her, you know? So he kind of apologizes and says he won't, you know, do that kind of thing again or whatever. So she ends up, he kind of grows on her, his personality or whatever. So over, you know, weeks of time, she starts liking him because he's treating her better than what her husband was that she had before was treating her, because, you know, they didn't have to treat women very good back then. So I don't know. I just really liked the way they portrayed all the miners and stuff, and what it must have been like, that how you saw how dirty it was. And they're all just sitting in their tents waiting for the rain to stop. And it's muddy and people are walking, and you can see Lee Marvin rolling around in mud a lot. You know, he's constantly dirty. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just really, really enjoyed that part, you know, that perspective of the grittiness of actually seeing what it might have been like in the 1800s to live in a mining town, especially with no women. Because when you look through the window of the little cabin, once they built her that, and you looked in compared to other people's homes, you know, that we got to see, she had a little tablecloth on the table, and she had a little thing with flowers in it, and it was clean. You could tell a woman had decorated inside the cabin compared to what some of the other places looked like that just had tents and little shacks that the men were just shit that was just thrown around, and, you know, the men didn't put detail in it. And I think a lot of men, when you do without, and then you get the chance to have a woman move in and she puts a picture on the wall or she does different things, it adds a woman's touch to it. And I think a lot of men do like that. It makes it feel like it's home, you know, that type of thing. So I liked the way that they showed that in this movie. That was one of the things that I thought made it, gave me a touch of I don't know, of relationships, you know, that you can, even the way their relationship started by her being sold for $800, it ended up being love. And I really do think she loved him because they treated each other with respect. They talked to each other. He gave her space. He built the house for her. You know, he treated her good. You know what I mean? And she treated him good. She cooked for him, and she was a good wife. Like she said, I'll be a good woman to you, because, you know, what else was she going to do, you know? And she made the best of the bad situation, and so did he.
There's a lot of this movie that it's you can immediately take it to where like, oh, well, this is a movie where I could like teach my child morality, and don't pay attention to like the two wives stuff, but pay attention to the wife, the Gene Seberg character, telling him, I will be a good wife for you because there's nothing else for me to do here. So let me be a good wife, please. That really, like, I kind of understand that. I kind of understand why that she would have that in her character. Also, there's a really sad fact I found. Gene Seberg files for divorce from Romaine Gary in the middle of production on 17th September of '68. Seriously thinking she's going to marry Clint Eastwood. Well, Eastwood ghosted her after filming and it affected her so bad. She was so fragile. Sorry about that. And here's, probably the most sober that we had Lee Marvin on set too. Because every other shot, he's completely soused. It's great.
Yeah, he drank, and everything he drank in the movie, they said was real alcohol. He only drank alcohol.
No fake alcohol. He was drinking real alcohol.
And he was drinking a lot. He drank a lot in this movie. For at least it seemed like it.
I wasn't counting, okay? I was just impressed. My Oliver Reed was clapping on the inside.
Yeah, I know you loved him in the Three Musketeer thing. So
well, Jay, you don't understand. I love Oliver Reed and Peter O'Toole and a lot of the Hellraisers of the '60s, because those guys actually would go out, do a set, do a shoot, start shooting, and then after about 3 days on set, like, okay, this isn't really a movie until we go out, have supper, and then go destroy a bar. Let's go. And that's what they would do. They would go out, they'd stay out till 4 or 5 in the morning, get in fucking makeup at 6, and they just power through it. They made movies out of love of the game, but to them, going out on these operations to make a movie was the fun part. Like, oh, we're on location. Oh, let's go have fun with the locals. Let's go drain the bar's resources. Let's go throw money at this place, and let's make a name for ourselves. And they'll talk about us for years here, and they did. Every place where you have these big guys going off, that book, The Hellraisers, it talks about it.
Yeah.
It talks about that. It talks about how these local economies were affected positively for the fact that you had these big name stars going in, having little drinking games, having testing games of strength, maybe getting into fights, but it was okay because they would be out of jail. They'd be back in makeup at 7 a.m. and they'd go make their movie and make their millions. What the fuck is wrong with that? Hey, baby girl, how you doing, hon? I think this movie is, you're like, this movie wouldn't be good without Lee Marvin. This movie would be nothing. I'm going to raise you. There's one way this movie could be better. And if it would have had Oliver Reed.
If you took Lee Marvin out and put Oliver Reed in there, he could have played that character.
He would have been a fine replacement. I'm not saying this movie would be better with Oliver Reed. I'm just saying if you want it to be a better movie, you have Oliver Reed take Lee Marvin's spot. Marvin's a great actor.
Are they about the same age? I mean, were they or not?
Oliver Reed was about 5 years younger, I think.
Yeah, because I think Lee Marvin was 44 when he made this movie, and he was 7 years older than Clint Eastwood, but he looked a lot older, didn't he?
Yes, he looked a hell of a lot older because he had the premature white hair. And that's why he was always given the general's position or the commandant's position in all these movies.
It was just so funny. I would love to have been able to meet him in real life, like travel back in time and get to meet him and just meet him one-on-one somewhere, just to have a conversation with him, because I guarantee he was a lot of fun. He just seemed something about him. It just made me think he was a fun person. Just like Oliver Reed, I said the same thing about him, because I think that he would have been a fun person just to hang out with, just, away from the sets and stuff, just to go out and have a good meal and go, at a bar and dance and just talk and stuff. I just think they would have been great.
If you want to see him really turn into Oliver Reed, you got to put in alcohol. Then you pull the cord.
I guess, because I tell you, the same thing with what John Belushi, he drank and snorted coke and stuff.
He did everything. He did everything.
And
He was
that's
America's.
sad. I mean, it's sad.
He was
to
America's
laugh about
Belushi.
it, but it's really sad that that's what ended up taking his life.
No, it's not sad because it's a gift to have him around and be on camera because he won't be on long. I mean, you have Dan Aykroyd going out in the suburbs of Chicago looking for John Belushi, and they see one house with the light on, so they go knock on the door, and the homeowner answers the door. Is like, looking for Belushi, aren't you? Yeah. Have you seen him? He's like, yeah, he came in, made himself a sandwich, and now he's asleep on my couch.
Well, they're lucky guys. I mean, him and so didn't Chevy Chase do that too? Just randomly show up at people's house. I heard you were having a party, and just go.
I don't know about that.
I heard that about Chevy Chase too.
I haven't heard that about Chevy Chase, so I'm going to have to do some research. But Chevy Chase does not appeal to me.
Bill Murray. Sorry.
Bill Murray will stop you at fucking Wendy's, eat 3 of your fries off your tray, and be like, "Nobody will ever believe you."
I don't know. You have to be a special kind of person to do certain things, and
it's called charisma. It's called charisma. That's all you got to have.
Yeah,
you got to have either the hot girl. You have to have either hot girl syndrome, or you have to have just like everybody knows this guy, everybody loves this guy. Some of my friends accuse me of being that guy to where I could do shit like that, but I don't. But I've sold contracts just being a near drunken lout in front of a customer, pissed off because we're hearing them complain about how the system requires this, that, and the other. And I just kind of throw my hands up, start to leave. Like, listen, either you're going to take what we've got available or we're walking. And what? Listen, I'm going to go have a drink. And I'll come back. I'll listen to what you have to say. And so, wait, you're going to a bar? Yeah. You want to go negotiate at the bar? Let's go negotiate at the bar. We talk about it. And fucking my boss is just crazy. Like, you got it signed. I said, I got it signed. He's like, you were getting pissed off because instead of being patient with them and letting them tell you about all the TCEQ mandates they're worried about, you're like, listen, this doesn't involve us. Either you want us to come and do what we do, which is we suck, or you get somebody else to listen to your bullshit. But I'm not about to listen to your bullshit. There's other people that need what I got to do, and I got to suck somewhere. And they're like, please suck for us. And sometimes literally that's just all you have to do is have charisma, just a little bit of charisma. Be like, listen, we're not going to put up with your shit for too long. And that's Lee Marvin in this movie. Lee Marvin, at the start of this film, he lets his entire character MO out and about so you know what the fuck he's going to do. And it's a great fucking defining moment.
Well, there was one line. There was one line in this movie that reminded me of you when he said it. It was the part where he's talking to Pardner, and he was talking about how the city's going to be coming, people are going to be moving to the suburbs and building the city, and it's going to infringe on the beauty of God's country, basically. And then he said, and I don't like that. He says, because you don't have to love thy neighbor, you leave that bastard alone. I just thought, all I could think of was you, because you talk about stuff like that a lot. Your neighbor being a dick, or they park in your spot, or whatever, that type of stuff. And it just made me think of you, that one line. And I was like, yeah, that sounds like he's one of Bruce's pals. It just cracked me up. But I love the fact that you saw day and night with Pardner and Lee Marvin's characters, and that you saw them build their relationship way before the woman even entered, about how this partnership was going to work. Because remember, Lee Marvin's walking along the stream or the river, and he sees these two guys, their cart or whatever, go off the edge of the cliff and slam on the ground. So he runs over to the one guy, and he's feeling of his chest and stuff to see if he's breathing. And then the other one moans, and that's when you see, oh, it's Clint Eastwood. So he moans and he groans, and he says, my brother, and he says he's dead. So he ends up having a broken leg and a hurt arm and a bunch of bruises and stuff. And so that's when he ends up becoming partners with him, is because that's when they find the gold on the ground, because they dig a grave for his brother, or not they, just Lee Marvin. He does it by himself. The whole scene is hilarious. And he's wearing his red long john looking thing as a shirt because he's just got his jeans pulled up, and they got those weird jeans that fold, down in the front. I just loved it. I just thought the whole way they did it, the point of view of the director, like it's either down, straight down, straight on, different things. It was just, I think even the way that they filmed it was trying to make it campy or something. The way that the angles and stuff that he used, it was like you could tell it was on a tripod. You know what I mean? I don't remember really any scenes except the very opening scene where the camera's panning along like that. When the wagon train's going the other direction and the music's playing, I think the rest of it seemed like the camera was just sitting there, focused on this building or that building or down the street. You know what I mean? Did you notice that?
I did.
So it's just funny. Just like I said, every director has their own touch, their own way of doing things. And after a while, when you see a few of their movies, you start saying, that's them. That's him. I think I know this director because of the way they shoot things. And I don't know who this director was. I don't remember. But I did remember one thing. I'm not going to say it because it was a name that came up as a producer. And I was like, that's my dad's name. So I know he didn't do anything with this movie, but I just thought that was interesting that I recognized one name in the as it was going on there at the beginning of the movie. So
this movie had a lot of things going for it. I like this film. Marvin did Cat Ballou, and he basically plays the same character in that film. And that film he was praised. He was Pam in this movie. He was Pam. And whenever Clint Eastwood was asked what's he working on, he's like, "Oh, Cat Ballou too."
Yeah.
That was kind of funny. That was cute. But this movie, I think it has probably, it needs to be recognized a little more for the good movie that it truly is. I think this is not a banger of a film, but I think this is definitely a better than usual musical. If I like a musical, it's well done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like tepid musicals. I like tepid schlock. I like tepid bad sci-fi, bad crime dramas. Are you a movie that's made with between $5 and $10 million? I'm probably going to enjoy you. But this movie here, they had a fuck ton of money thrown at it, and you can see it in everything, in the set design, the uniforms, the outfits, the script, the care they gave. The worst part of this movie is the fact that it probably could have gone on for another half hour. I really was enjoying it. I want to see it on DVD because there is a little bit of sharpness that I think I would benefit from with this new TV that I've got. I really like it. But I want to see that. And I think this movie is probably one of the better films of the late 60s musicals. My mother made me watch musicals all the time when I was growing up. You start talking about, hey, we're going to watch musicals, Bruce, and you see me immediately check the fuck out, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I was really worried that you weren't going to like it, but I thought if he'll just watch it for 5 or 10 minutes, I think he'll like it. That's what I kept telling myself. Because I said, really, once he gets to see Lee Marvin and Clint Eastwood together on scene, even though they're going to sing, and it's not going to be good, especially when Lee Marvin sings, because anyone who thinks Lee Marvin's going to be like
terrible
some good singer, you don't know Lee Marvin. But I thought if I could just get you to watch it for 10 minutes, I was like, I think he might actually watch the whole movie. That's why I kept saying, is Bruce sleeping? I kept saying that because I was worried that you were going to hate it. But I would just hope that you'd give it a chance and try to watch it a little bit.
Yeah, I really think this movie is good. I think it's one of the better films out there. Of early Clint Eastwood movies, this isn't my favorite by any means, but this is a different Clint Eastwood than what I'm used to seeing. Janet, what's your score on this movie?
Well, I don't know. This time I watched it, I saw a few things here and there that I don't remember seeing before. And that's what I'm saying. It's so funny how when you watch a different movie you that you loved before, you might see something that it makes you go, "What the fuck? How can I like this movie?" You know what I mean? Or you see it and you go, "Damn, this movie was even better than I thought it was the last time." Just like every time I watch Blues Brothers, I love it more and more and more. And it's funny because I feel the same way about this one. This time when I watched it, this is like I guess maybe the 12th time I've seen this movie. I liked it better than I did the time before. I don't know if it's because it makes me happy to watch it because it makes me think of my mom. That might have a lot to do with it. I can't help it because I know it's not for everyone. But I liked it even more this time, and I would definitely give it an 8 out of 10 for me.
That's kind of funny because I'll tell you my score here after I tell you what we're watching next.
Oh, I really could have. I know it's Clint Eastwood, so because we're still doing that. Okay.
It's Clint Eastwood. We're not getting out of Clint Eastwood till at least June.
Okay.
Y'all might be stuck with Clint Eastwood movie reviews until the fucking 2027. Okay, I might be merciful because there's a lot of good shit to watch here.
Well, he was very active. He was a director. He was an actor. He even wrote some stuff. So yeah, he was all over the place.
Well, we already watched a movie called Where Eagles Dare.
Mm-hmm.
That was what we like number 8 or number 9, and that movie was fantastic. Yeah, Clint Eastwood moving around with 2 machine guns, just mowing through Germans.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of you that like playing the really terrible Wolfenstein games, that's where you get that from. I was thinking either we watch Hang 'em High
Mm-hmm.
or Play Misty for Me.
Oh, Play Misty is very morbid, but it's a good movie too. I've seen that.
I don't know.
You haven't
Because
seen it?
I've never seen either. I mean, yeah. Like I could get very just we're gonna get very anal here.
Mhm.
I could go chronologically, and there's a movie or two we missed. We didn't see The Witches. I don't think that's really considered a Clint Eastwood film. He's in the movie. He might even get top billing, but I don't believe he's
I
not
don't
even.
think I've seen that one.
It's a movie that's an anthology film. 5 short stories loosely dealing with roles of women in society,
Mm-hmm.
and it's an Italian movie. I think it's one of those done right at the tail end of the trilogy, the Dollars trilogy. And Clint Eastwood's in one of the stories.
Well, my
I
mom
guess.
liked to Hang 'em High, and my mom liked to Play Misty for Me, but they're two totally different Clint Eastwoods.
Okay, so here's what I'll do. Next week we watch Hang 'em High,
Okay.
and then after that we watch Play Misty for Me, and then after that there's another one he did called The Beguiled,
I haven't seen that one.
and that one there has a pretty good IMDb score. That's right before Play Misty for Me.
Mm-hmm.
But we could just go chronologically through his IMDb. That might be the plan for 2026, kids. Because if we do that, work with me here. I know this might not be what you want, but if we do that, we've got Hang 'em High,
Mm-hmm.
the Mr. Ed and all the other stuff, the Rawhide. We're not gonna evaluate that. That's available for us on the web in various corners. You can watch that. Hang 'em High, the Lugan's Bluff. We already watched Where Eagles Dare.
Yeah.
Then after Hang 'em High, Coogan's Bluff, then 2 Mules for Sister Sarah.
Yeah,
And
that
then
was
after
another
that-
one my mother liked.
And then after that, it's Kelly's Heroes.
I don't think I've seen
Okay.
Kelly's Heroes.
You've never seen Kelly's Heroes?
I don't think so. I'd have
All
to
right.
I'd have to see the trailer or whatever to remember if I've seen it or not, but it doesn't sound familiar to me.
You got Eastwood, Savalas, and Rickles all in the same show. It
Yep.
wasn't loved at the time, but people nowadays, they love that show. And there are all these guys that are USGIs going over to grab Nazi treasure into France. There was a game called The Train, I believe, that was partially based off of it back in '88 from Accolade.
Hmm.
Back when I was 13, on Commodore 64, ZX Spectrum, and all that. But yeah, this was a neat movie, and I saw it when I was a young kid. But Telly Savalas and Clint Eastwood have so many fucking good moments in it. But yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan, kids. We are going to go with next week. Hang 'em High. Marshall plays Marshall Jed Cooper.
So it's
And-
Western then.
Yeah. What's wrong with that?
No, I'm just saying we're going back to a Western because this one was a Western comedy, but
Yeah.
now we're going back to a Western, and then the next one will be a thriller.
Uh-huh.
So
And then after Hang 'em High,
mhm.
you got Coogan's Bluff, which I think that's another Western, or it looks like a Western. Then you got Paint Your Wagon. We watched that, and Where Eagles Dare. Now we're caught up chronologically. After that, 3 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, we got Two Mules for Sister Sarah. Then 4 weeks from now, we do Kelly's Heroes. And then The Beguiled. Then Play
Now,
Missy
is
for
the
Me.
Beguiled, is it a thriller or war stuff? What is it? Because I haven't seen it.
It's a war film. It's a Union soldier cons his way into each of these women's hearts at a Confederate girls' boarding school.
Hmm.
And he makes them all turn on each other. It's kind of like Clint Eastwood in real life when he was in his 30s and 40s.
Oh, okay.
There's not a lot of acting involved. I mean, come on. We have the evidence in front of us. As much as I love Clint, what happened with that young girl, Seberg? He could have been manly about it, be like, no, I don't want to be with you. But instead, he doesn't say shit. They go back to Hollywood, and then he never talks to her again. Come on.
Well,
Sorry, Clint. Everybody has to go.
maybe he didn't talk to her again. Was that before or after he was with that Lockheed lady?
This is before he was with
Okay.
Lockwood.
So maybe back when he was younger, he kind of got a sense that there was something not right with her.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
why he just stepped away when he had a chance to do it. Because just like I said, look at, what was it? The guy from the Pirates of the Caribbean, the woman he was with. And I've seen a couple hidden videos of other actors who put their phone over there or whatever and see the woman throwing stuff and screaming at the top of her lungs and being a nutcase. And, just because they're pretty and stuff doesn't, and you work with them or you slept with them, doesn't mean you have to be in a relationship with them. I mean, if you can get out of it as fast as you can, you should for your own sanity. So he seems to have made good decisions. I mean, he's got a long, good career of success, and he's got children. He's had some good relationships. I mean, all of his relationships seem to last for a little bit of time, his real relationships. And then, so he seems to have made an effort when he was in a real relationship to make it work. And it can't be that easy when, you're as busy as he seemed to have been in his career, right?
The more I'm studying about this guy, I like Clint Eastwood a lot. I like it because I really discovered him after the age of 25. And after the age of 25, he's like, 70, 75 years old? So he's like coming down off the slope of success and all that. It's great. It really is. But when he was a young man, he realized he was a commodity. And in the movie The Beguiled, there's one of the actresses, Joanne Harris, he had a long affair with.
Mm-hmm.
And she did not marry Clint. She married somebody else, and then he died in 2006. I don't know if they talk or if they still do stuff together, but I'll just show you, Clint was pulling down. He was hitting nothing but net. When it's talking about getting a hot chick, he's doing good.
Yeah.
Joanne Harris, when she was...
But he was an attractive man. And he seemed like he liked brunettes and redheads and blondes. He
He
seemed
was
to like all the women. You know what I mean? He wasn't
yeah,
picky on just there's some guys like yeah, I can't remember all the names of them, but there's a lot of actors out there that only date blonde, blonde bimbos, so
But this guy, like the more I discover about Clint, the more I empathize with him because like I played around quite a bit in my 30s and 40s too. Now it bite me in the ass when I'm fat and 50, but whatever.
but the thing is, I think all people do. I mean, that's your
Yeah.
prime of life. That's when all your hormones are raging and you're wanting to procreate. I mean, it's a natural, it's a natural thing. So most people, I think, do have relationships or mini relationships or go in and out of relationships, not knowing whether they want to marry or have kids at that time. It's a little different for men than it is women because once a woman, usually, once a woman does have a child, she tends to start slowing down because she wants to nurture. They do the nesting thing where you want your house to look a certain way, and then the baby's coming, you want the nursery to look this way, and you're preparing as a woman to take care of your child. So you start to pull away from partying and going out and doing all this stuff. Now, if you have a woman that's pregnant and she's out drinking and smoking crack and all that, it's not going to last very long, and the baby probably won't be very healthy. But after that happens, if I were you, I would take the baby and run because that's not a person that you want to raise your kid. I wouldn't think. You know what I mean? So that's why it's different for men and women, and that's why you have a lot of guys by the time they hit 50s in Hollywood, they're finding some woman that looks 12. She may be 20, but they want one really young woman to hang on their arm because now they're ready to have a kid because they're starting to slow down some, right? So, I think I saw a picture today of I don't remember what his name is, the one that dated Madonna way back when she first hit, and Sean Penn or something. He's got he's in his 60s or 70s or something, isn't he? And he's got like a 30-year-old girlfriend now.
Holy, that's who he always will be to me.
So, it's just sad because, in Hollywood, men seem to get more women as they get older, and the women just seem to be thrown to the side because they're just old and bags. They're old bags. Nobody's interested in them. Even Demi Moore was a very, very attractive. She got herself a younger man, but as soon as he started getting the urge to want his own kids, he had to dump her to the side because she was too old to have kids for him. So he got someone younger. And that happens all the time.
She could have still had kids in her 40s.
Well, I know, but he didn't want kids with her. He didn't want kids with her. He wanted a younger woman that would quit the job and stay home, and which is what he got. So there you go.
But
men start seeing things differently when they want to be fathers. They want the wife to be home to make sure the kids are taken care of, things like that. But the sad thing is, a lot of men, traditional men that want women like that, they finally get one, and then they want her to stay home, and then when she gets tired of his shit because he's out partying, drinking all the time, and she wants a divorce, then he says all she wants is my money. Now I got to pay her half my check, and I got to do this because now you got kids and you got to pay for a whole nother house and everything because she doesn't want to be with you, a cheater or whatever. So it's sad because that's the way it works. A woman gives up her career for a family, and she ends up getting the stick most of the time, especially in this area of the the world, basically. So unless she's got lots of money on her own. So I don't know. It's just sad because people don't look at their relationship as the number one priority in their life. There's always something better on the other side of the fence, apparently.
I've been on both sides of that fence. I understand. For me, this movie earns an easy 70%. I like the film. Yeah.
That's for you. That's good for a musical. I'm impressed.
This is really a good film. It's a good musical. There's some issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not glaring. Lee Marvin is the star of the film. Keep that in mind when you start watching it. It is not a Clint Eastwood movie. I thought it was a Clint Eastwood movie. It's not. It's a Lee Marvin movie. But once I discovered that, I really loved it because Lee Marvin is an absolute joy to watch, and to have him go around and do stuff. And Pardner is just that. He's just that. You do learn Pardner's real name later, but Clint Eastwood plays the sidekick. And he plays a hell of a sidekick. He plays a hell of a guy that's got your back, and I'll take care of things no matter what.
He was the stable one.
And he's a stable guy in this friendship. It's very, very much a movie that was written by a man who understands buddies very well.
Mm-hmm.
And this is exactly the type of film that I would expect to come out of the 60s because of the way that it's written, the situations that happen, and how they portray it up against the colonist or colonial times or budding West that we had.
Mm-hmm.
I was really happy that it wasn't a movie filled with a lot of rootin' tootin' Yosemite Sam types.
Mm-hmm.
That role is specifically for our good friend Lee Marvin in this movie. And this film is just a fucking tour de force of comedy and mostly good script writing. Mm-hmm. I've got to say that it earns a 70%. I would even say it dares reach 75%, but I'm going to keep it at 70 because this is a very fun, enjoyable movie to watch. Watch it with your kids, watch it with your family. It's not a bad film. Mm-hmm. It's really well done for what it is, and you'll be surprised.
Yeah, I was. I'm surprised every time I watch it. I mean, when it first started, I'm glad I wasn't on camera because I was getting so giddy and I was clapping and I was doing this and stuff because it was so exciting. And I was happy that you were going to get to watch it because I know you've never seen it. Worried though, still worried in the back going, God, he's going to hate this movie. He's just something about it. He's going to hate something about it. And, I'm going to feel like crap, whatever. But I'm glad that you liked it because it is a Clint Eastwood movie. Clint Eastwood was in it. He portrayed a very good character that was stable, that went there. Remember the whole story. He lost his brother at the very beginning, and Lee Marvin stepped in basically as the role of his brother. You know what I mean? That he looked up to, his older brother. And he left a farm and he went to strike it rich in gold country. And what's he end up with at the end? He ends up becoming a farmer again with a beautiful wife that loves him. So he got the American dream, basically. It's what he ends up with. If you look at it, once your perspective is looking at it at the very end, as you learn about what things, what kind of person he was between him and Lee Marvin, right? Their friendship is basically what this movie is. It's about how they meet, a real wild, outlandish guy, that wanders, a wandering star, just like he said when he sang it in the movie. That's who he was. He wasn't meant to just stay in one place, but because he was grounded by Pardner and his new wife, he stayed there longer than he normally would have. And the fact that the gold ran out and the only way they could get it basically is to dig all the tunnels under all of the saloons and the bars and get the gold dust that was falling through the floors, which was genius if you think about it, except the fact that with all that rain, that's another reason why I kept saying, God, it rains a lot. But now we understand at the end why we needed the rain, because it was going to end up making the whole town collapse, like a bunch of gophers, living underneath all these buildings. And that's what made it so funny, is because you had that preacher guy that shows up in town, and you got all these fornicators running around. They're alcoholics and womanizers and, boozing and gambling, all the things he was against. And he said that Satan was going to come and God was going to collapse the whole city on itself or whatever. And basically that's what happens. And he's the first one to fall through the ground along with that bull. So I thought the whole thing, I just thought it was fun, witty, gritty. It had a romance. It had action because there was a couple good fights in there. No blood and gore. And you didn't see what? You saw Jiggly, right? But you didn't see any TNA. You didn't see a bunch of ass and boobies flashing and, and all that kind of stuff. You didn't see that. You didn't have to, because it left some to the imagination. And that's another reason why I really liked it. The reason I wouldn't want kids to watch it is because of all the innuendos and a lot of the language that is used mostly by Leah Marvin. But I loved it. It makes me laugh thinking about some of the lines, what he says about leave that bastard alone, your next, that. Just his mannerisms were just phenomenal.
He's a great character in this movie. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's not seen sober at all, and that is completely on purpose. The director did not like that, but he couldn't stop him either.
No,
and that's an interesting thing about the way this movie was made, because Lee just looked at the script. He's like, "This guy's a drunk. I got to play him right. I'm going to do some deep study on this." And the bottle was uncorked, and it stayed uncorked until the end of the film. I don't remember reading about this with Lee Marvin being a problem after this movie. This was Lee Marvin trying to be a character actor, and I kind of get it. I really enjoyed it as well.
I'm trying to look real quick to see if it won any awards, because I think it was nominated for some awards. I wonder if Lee Marvin was nominated for anything, because I just thought he was a shining star of this movie. I mean, he really was. His character was, and he put so much effort into it. It was almost flawless, how well he portrayed this character. Like the one scene that I was shocked by was the one where he's drunk and he wakes up and he looks over and he sees a woman, he thinks, holding a baby, right? And then he looks at her a couple of times. What does that say? This too shall pass.
Says, this too shall pass. Then some other bullshit will come and take its place. It never fucking ends. This is a shirt that you can get, and you'll probably wear it nicer than I will, but this is a shirt you can get from our very good friend, Hungar the Starvarian. He's been a member of ours at this location for 22 months. Didn't have to do that. That's just him being generous. I don't ask anybody to be a member. I don't really talk about it because I don't offer anything like, hey, we do live streams or we do this. I work too much. And as much as I want to, I'm almost ready to turn it off because I don't do anything. But Hungar's there like, no, dude, don't pay your taxes. I'm like, okay, I appreciate you. And for doing that, Hungar, I've got to tell you guys, Hungar has a t-shirt site. Mm-hmm. Did you know that? I know Janet knows it because she's got one of the sexiest hoodies out there.
He has that on his thing?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he had his shirts, with his picture on them.
He's got amazing shirts, Janet. Everybody needs to see these shirts because they're that fucking good. Okay, so now that I have this up, ta-da! All right, here we go. T-shirt designed by our friend Hungar the Starvarian, and he does a lot of kind of pop culture stuff, but I appreciate it. My demons would titty fuck yours. I'm both smarter and dumber than you think. Never estimate me. Mm-hmm. Green Eggs and James T-shirts. It's Green Eggs and Hyperborea.
Oh my gosh, that's James.
Yep. That's James.
No, the one with the pink one right there. That's James too.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
Who wouldn't love having that on a shirt? Oh my god, I got to wear that when I go home.
It's those twins from that movie with the spy who shagged me movie. Remember, Fook me, fook you. Those two twins a few years later.
So here's my next shirt I'll be buying because it's got our friend James and his favorite Pomeranians.
Yeah.
Period. It's funny as hell.
Yeah.
But I love this shirt. I wore this the other day to my favorite bar. That's Ojos Locos. And the Hungar t-shirt, they were like, oh shit, you got a new Hungar t-shirt. Like, yeah, I do.
I bought some of the wait staff their Hungar t-shirts and Hungar hoodies. But you have a dinosaur being roasted on the spit, and Hungar proudly behind there, just sharing to meet the ladies, because all the ladies want is meat. Elvis t-shirt, Elvis Presley. One of my favorite shirts of all time. James on his Pomeranian using a short
I
bow.
just can't believe you're allowed to do that with Elvis's picture without permission. You know what I mean? I didn't know you were allowed to do that.
Okay, here's where I get upset, because you're talking like that. And I'm like, this is the land of the free, goddammit.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, it seems like every time I do anything, I get told that it's copyright music or it's this, that, or something. It's always something.
You need to get a bigger wood chipper you can fit a lawyer in. That's all I got to say. You go to Minnesota, you can wear one of these shirts and let them know you're with the community. I was once a man trapped in a woman's body, and then I decided to be born.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite shirts, Elon, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I like that one too.
Then we got the classic shirts, the Hungar standing above one of the shapely ladies who just rescued. We got the Navigator
from the Disney series.
I love it. You got the Hungar with his high school fro. You got another Hungar t-shirt right there. Another James Frazetta shirt. But these are all shirts you can get off that website. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. And then here's a shirt I'm wearing right now. This too shall pass, and some other bullshit will come and take its place. It never fucking ends. You have the fart squirrel. You see me in the garage practicing my nunchucks wearing my Crocs. Just keep driving. I'm in the zone. I don't want you to get pregnant.
Yeah, see, I have a fart squirrel. Mm-hmm.
How do you get an unpregnant? Well, you fuck her. Take the day from being a bigger person and choose violence. This is a fine t-shirt. Every kid should be wearing this shirt at school in that color. But no, I love Hungar shirts. I talk about them. I wear them. This is my new grunt style addiction. Thank you, Hungar. Ooh, food. I like fried chicken and watermelon too. See, I'm diverse. We just had February. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. If I had $1 for every racist joke I told, I'd probably get robbed by a black guy. Anyway, go to Hungar, the Strawberry, and tpublic.com website there. Enjoy yourself some browsing. Show your kids that you care about how the world perceives them, and buy them a shirt. Yeah, commies run the platform. We don't feed commies. They have no power over us. Before we leave.
Well, I wanted to finish that one thing I was saying real quick. The scene where you see him see the woman, right? He doesn't he thinks he's drunk, so he goes through the whole crowd, goes to the stream, and you see him stand there and he just falls face first without even raising his hands into the water. And then he washes downstream a little bit, stands up, and then goes back in, right, to see the lady. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he just stood there and just fell in, I mean, that just shows you that he's just good at what he does. You know, he's just a good actor. He probably does a lot of his own stunts and all that type of stuff. I
was amazed at the agility of these guys.
Yeah, me too. They were in great shape. That's what I wanted to say. It was that one scene where he just falls face first into the water was just, I was shocked by it. I thought it was just that he did that. It was funny too.
I liked it.
We are going to see the trailer for the movie we'll watch next week, Hang 'em High.
Mm-hmm.
So, YouTube, I know you're going to be like, oh, you can't do that. Well, fuck
just
you.
show your little thing saying that we were going to talk about this trailer and show the trailer. It's from 1968, and they're going to throw a fit over it.
They had one kind of justice in the Oklahoma Territory and one kind of entertainment. And both of them add up to a hanging. The hanging was the best show in town until they did two things wrong. They hung an innocent man, and they didn't finish the job.
What's this all about? Hang him.
Jed Cooper. They shot him. They even hanged him, but they couldn't kill him.
What about the 9 just men who hung me?
Justice is my province, Marshal.
There's a lot of faces I already recognize in this trailer. I am going to have a lot of fun watching this next week.
Mine and mine alone.
You have anything to add, Janet?
Not yet. That's terrible that someone would hang someone like that.
The legend.
And they live.
It's a movie. It happened in real life too. Probably based on a story at some point.
Spread of the man with the hanging scar who wore a badge and rode a vengeance trail after 9 desperate men.
Those 9 men. If you find them, they're to be brought before me. Alive.
Super.
You're under arrest.
Yep.
When you hang a man, you better look at him.
No.
Rachel, she wanted revenge, a different kind, for a
Oh, that's Ingers, isn't it?
I don't know. She looks kind of familiar, but I don't know who she is.
Big star back in the late 60s, early 70s, if I remember right. This might have been her biggest role, though.
different reason.
Who do you want to hang?
We all have our ghosts, Marshal.
He's treed! Blast him! I hear about this, not just in the territories, but in Washington. Across the length and breadth of this nation, they're gonna know that name, Jed Cooper.
Vengeance, Western style. It started with an act of unspeakable violence and ended on a rope. Clint Eastwood, Inger Stevens, Pat Hingle, and Ed Begley.
Get your cold beer. Here's what's wrong with kitties. Pretzels, licorice sticks. Get your cold beer. Cold beer. Get your cold beer.
It was the best show in town. Hang 'em. Hang 'em high.
I've not seen this before.
Neither have I. And I'm looking forward to it. That looks like a great movie.
Okay.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to this because I remember those actors from back in the day. I remember Inger Stevens. I remember seeing her in other films.
Mhm.
I want to say she was in other stuff. I mean, I might be wrong because I was a young kid whenever that was going on. You know, and you go see your grandfather's house and he's got cable. He's the only one that has cable in the entire family. So you got to go to town and watch cable in his house. But man, this movie got Ed Begley in there. He's a hell of an actor. Clint Eastwood looks young as shit. He's got the nice little scar there. Good job of the makeup crew. I think this movie's probably going to score more than a 70%. That's just Bruce's early warning. Because I'm looking at it like, oh, this looks good. Okay, do you have anything before we exit? What we need to say for our friends and family?
No, I'm just saying, anyone who decides to watch Paint Your Wagon, I'd still, even though came out in 1969, I don't recommend young children watch it with you because it does have a lot of foul language and innuendos, sexual innuendos.
Innuendos is what it's got. I did not hear the foul language, but I hear the word fuck, and I think there's a comma coming. I mean, that's all there is to me. You know, it didn't feel like it was a horrible film. I wouldn't say, yeah, your kids are going to love it. Your sons should definitely watch it. What I'm seeing more and more is that, you know, take good notes from your grandfather of how to treat your grandmother. And don't act like a young man that's just going through town, burning through every piece of poon he finds. I love you, Clint. I really do. But Jesus, dude, you were like the Hollywood version of Gene Simmons, for crying out loud. And I did not realize this. The more I was reading on IMDb, like
I was just looking at the 70s movies before Dirty Harry,
Mhm.
and like he has an established pattern. You know, he does. You said he liked blonde, he liked brunette, he liked gingers. He was a man of the people. You know, he kind of like his. I guess you would say the only thing I could compare him to is, remember when we all found out that Giselle was not Tiger Woods' only squeeze, and he had like the baker's dozen. There was even the girl that
Well,
worked
it's
at
like my
Perkins
mom
that he
always
was.
said, because she had 5 daughters, she said, "Why buy the cow if you get the milk for free?" So, if you're out, if he can just go out and get you on the weekend, then he's going to get someone else next weekend because it's the hunt that's exciting. It's not after you've already got the prize. Why would you put everything else in there for it when you've already got it? So,
Yeah, I get it. I understand.
but
All right, kids.
we had lots of girls.
That's how God punished your dad for being a Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
That's all that is. That
He was
God
the
punished
youngest
your
of
father.
7, and his dad was a preacher. So,
That was God trying to make a statement like, listen, remember all those young ladies that you batted? Well, I want to give you a bunch of young ladies. You got to protect them. And he's like, you got this, God. I'm out. I'm gonna go be whatever. I mean, most of our, like I can say your dad did a good job because you and I, we've talked about numbers before, and yours is really impressive. It's 1. Mine is not impressive. It's close to 3 digits. Um, you've done your father a lot of pride, and you've been really good for your family. You had 3 great kids. You did good. I mean, I don't know. You should never have a negative attitude over your life and your achievements, Janet. You've done very well.
I just did
Uh,
what I thought my mom would want me to do. So I
no,
don't
she did
regret
not say
that.
her. Okay. If you're bored, there is an extra thing for you to do. Here's your homework. If you like Paint Your Wagon, go to the trivia section of Paint Your Wagon and just grab some popcorn and start reading through the little snippets of information. It is easily okay. Paint Your Wagon for me is a 70 out of 100. But if I could grade the trivia of IMDb for Paint Your Wagon different, I would rate that a 90. Because that right there, that's just a rabbit hole, just a gigantic sucking void of like, but your attention could be used here, Bruce. Go in here, and I go in there and I start looking around and trying to feel around and rim it, and like all of a sudden I realized like I'm just fishing this thing for information. It was great. It's one of the greatest uses and abuses of my time I've had in a movie for years. And I usually go to the IMDb trivia first. This year I fucked up. I didn't watch it throughout the entire film. I watched the movie. I really enjoyed the movie. It was a good musical. But there's a big but here. A musical scoring a 70 is like me scoring a bad sci-fi at a 70. I like sci-fi. I'm not big on musicals. Sorry. But normally a 30% for a sci-fi movie, Bruce will give it an automatic 40 extra points because they tried. They put CGI or they put miniatures in it. I don't know. But I love the movie Dark Star. I love that movie. That's a stupid, schlocky, shitty film. But I would much rather watch that than Paint Your Wagon. Paint Your Wagon's great, don't get me wrong. And there's a lot of things that you could take out of it and just like talk to your kids and youngsters about it. Dark Star has no morality lessons in it whatsoever. It's just like bad all the way through. But there's like 8 minutes where you deal with a bomb, and it's just 4-star joy. It's like 100%. If the entire movie was just them talking to the sentient bomb, that movie would score 100. It'd be better than Big Trouble in Little China. Easy. But I just want you to be aware of that. Bruce's score and rating system is a little bit different than Janet's. That's why we are 2 separate people. She's not my Siamese twin. Okay. Here we go. Everybody. I'll have the